What's going on YouTube? Colorwells here, back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're heading back into the Showdown Team Builder to build a squad around Zacian. So this one was a requested one by quite a few people, and Zacian is here, but it's not the same Zacian that we all know and love. Things are a little bit different this time around in Scarlet and Violet. As many of you know, Zacian did receive quite a few nerfs, right? The attack stat has been nerfed. The Intrepid Sword ability has been nerfed. So, that being said, Zacian is no longer the S-tier behemoth it once was in Sword and Shield. But does that mean Zacian is garbage or unviable? Absolutely not. Zacian can still do work, right? If you can build the right team around it. It just requires a little bit more thought behind it. And that's really what it comes down to. Zacian's still like a pretty decent, I would say B-tier restricted right now currently, okay? You can win a tournament with Zacian. You can get some CP. You can do very well, okay? We've seen it already. It's been proven, and I'm going to show you some of those teams just so that, it'll give you some inspiration if you want to build a squad around Zacian. We're going to do that as well. We're going to build you 2 teams with Zacian with some similar ideas, but also, some of the options that we have are going to be a little bit different depending on what we want to do with the team and with Zacian overall. But again, this time around, the one thing that you can also really look at it for Zacian is the typing, right? Fairy Steel is still very solid, okay? And then at the same time, the speed stat of 148 is quite good. You outspeed all the base 135s, and that's really, really good for Zacian, in terms of that, right? So that means you get to outspeed stuff like Flutter Mane, Chien-Pao, Miraidon, and hit them really, really hard and KO them, right? And at the same time, look at the bulk. 115 defense, 115 special defense, still very, very bulky. So you do have to, do some damage to this thing. It's not like this is paper, or like Calyrex Shadow Rider, for example. Like, Zacian is still very much a Pokemon that can take a hit or two and still deal big damage right back. All right, so, but this time around, back in the day, we used to see like Substitute Zacian, and that is still good even now. We're going to build one squad with Substitute Zacian, but the preferred tech move is going to be Swords Dance, of course, because now, with Incineroar coming in and, clicking Intimidate stuff, swapping in Parting Shot, that it's annoying, right? So then sometimes Swords Dance is needed to be able to balance that out a little bit. Play Rough is the second stab move of choice. And then Protect over here is the last slide here. This is very standard for Zacian. And then what I want to do from here is just show you some squads that have been very successful and then build our 2 options, okay? So let's take a look at some of the best Zacian teams right now. All right, so we're heading back into the Lab Mouse website here, and I want to bring forth some Zacian cores that have been successful thus far. And look at these records, like 9-2, 8-0, 10-2. Like Zacian can still get the job done in regulationG. So let's take a look at this one from WoWYang, and this is with Gouging Fire. So this is the other kind of squad I wanted to build, Zacian Gouging Fire, because I think the 2 of them work very, very well together, especially with Substitute, which is what I wanted to put on Zacian with Gouging Fire, because you don't need Swords Dance necessarily. You can just Howl with the Gouging Fire and then go for the Substitute on the Zacian, and that's going to be a good check into something like Trick Room, where you can just stall it out by alternating Sub and Protects. And then even if they want to swap in their Incineroar, you can just click Howl and just, mitigate that reduction and still be neutral, right? And then once you do get your Substitute, they can't intimidate you anymore, which is the main selling point of Substitute, right? And then from here, look at this. You've got Chien-Pao here to make Zacian do even more damage. And I do like that trio, right? Zacian, Gouging Fire, and Chien-Pao here. Then after that, it's just like support options. Look, Raging Bolt here, clicking Electro Weapon, Snarl. So speed control and damage mitigation, something that Zacian wants, along with Breaking Swipe, right? So you get active forms of Intimidate and active forms of Special Attack Reduction. And then over here, you get Taunt, which is quite good on Tinglu, Sandtomb, Fissure, Yawn stuff with Dondozo, right? Sandtomb and Yawn is something that was done late in Regulation F. So it just makes sense that these 2 would come here like this. But overall, like, this Zacian team is quite good. I like it. But there are other kinds of Zacian teams. Look at Guillermo Castilla's Zacian team. I think this is the easiest version to try and use. This is what I call the Calyrex Ice Rider core, where you have Incineroar Amoongus, and then imagine Zacian in the Calyrex Ice Rider slot. Then you add Pelipper, Urshifu, and Raging Bolt. And that's pretty much the standard Calyrex Ice Rider core. The only difference is there's a Sword Dog in place of an Ice Horse. Okay, but the same stuff. Like, you get Intimidate, Fake Out, Redirection support for Zacian. You can set up the Swords Dance that way with Fake Out, Swords Dance, Rage Powder, Swords Dance. Then at the same time, you get Snarl for, you know, the Calyrex Shadow Rider matchup. Pelipper Urshifu is still going to do a ton of damage. Then you get Wide Guard as well. So this way you stop all the spread moves. Like, this is a pretty good splashable 5 with a lot of different restricteds. And then Zacian just kind of just fits there. So again, like I said, you have to work pretty hard here. Like, it just looks like Calyrex Ice Rider is better than Zacian in this type of team, but it still works, right? So if you want, you can definitely utilize this kind of core. But there's another one that's also pretty cool. It actually happened in a recent tournament, right? The Beanie Brawl. Like, this was a 3rd place team over here from Mr. Marlox, and I really like this. I think this was kind of smart from him. So look at this, Latios Zacian, right, along with Chien-Pao. But look at this, like, you get Tailwind on this team, you get your Dragon Fairy Steel core, just like the Gouging Fire idea. But now look at this, like, you still get Amoongus Chien-Pao here to back you up, and then Araquanid is providing the Wide Guard support here, right? And then at the same time, you've got Entei here. Like, you don't necessarily want Pelippers sometimes, because then that's going to make Entei do less damage. But like, Entei Chien-Pao was a thing back in Regulation F, and now you can even add Zacian to this trio. And now all of a sudden, Entei, Zacian, Chien-Pao, and maybe one support option over here is a trio that you can bring to a lot of different games, especially with Sacred Fire. You don't have to commit a Ho-Oh slot to it. So I do like Entei in this format. I think we mentioned it as one of our niche mons in our previous video, but I think this is pretty smart from Marlox, whoever you are. Okay, you still get your Wide Guard like you get from Pelipper, and then you still get like hard-hitting liquidations with Chien-Pao. So this makes sense. And again, Araquanid is something that can do well in Trick Room. And then from here, you have your fast move with Tailwind. So I think this is smart building here from Marlox. You still get, like I said, your Dragon Fairy Steel core, your Fire Water Grass, okay, and then Chien-Pao here is just Chien-Pao doing Chien-Pao things, right? You get to remove terrain with Ice Spinner, so there goes your Miraidon stuff, the Indeedee stuff as well. So it's looking pretty good here. I like this 7-2 result. You know, so shout outs to Marlox for coming up with that build. But there's a couple of other ideas, like even this one from Katori. This is the Gouging Fire King Gambit idea, along with, again, with Chien-Pao Amoongus. This is very early on. This is back in like April. So double steal idea, but again, the defined option here makes it so that Incineroar can't come in and just simply click Intimidate stuff. So this is an older idea, but it still works relatively well, I would say. Then as you keep scrolling down here, then you get some stuff like this from Mendez over here. So you still get Pelipper Urshifu here with the Amoongus. Then you get Furgraph over here with your Trick Room Setter, and Arkelin in here in the rain is just doing a lot of damage, right? And like I said, this is a Dragon Fairy Steel core idea, but again, quote-unquote double steal idea with Arkelin in here in the rain. And then, of course, Amoongus, you know, just supporting everything in Trick Room here, and especially the Furgraph over here, right? So that's another cool idea. This one was a bit of a hyper-offensive Zacian team. This was 6-3 from Indianapolis. This is the Regidrago idea. Again, you know, just clicking Dragon Energy, and then stuff like Behemoth Blade hits really hard with the Tailwind Setter, like Tornadus over here. And then Chiyu just helps the Regidrago do a ton of damage, and Amoongus is more or less your support option, or just gives you something to click in Trick Room. And then we have a Ditto here with Choice Card, right? Just giving you the option for a second restricted is just insane. So that's another idea that you can use. But look, a lot of these Zacian teams have Pelipper on it, and then Zacian Pelipper is just a really, really easy idea to build around. Pelipper does a lot for it. Like, you get the Wide Guard support, then you put Zacian in the rain, and as a steel type, you very much appreciate the rain because you're taking one less weakness from it, right? Fire damage does a lot less in the rain, and then that means Zacian's only real weakness is ground types, and then you could even bait it by even switching in your Pelipper if it's not in already. So that's the idea there. And then as you keep scrolling down, we can find some other options. This one also has Gouging Fire here. And this one is Urshifu, Chien-Pao, Rillaboom stuff. So again, like, this also works. I like this idea. This is pretty good. Again, that trio with Gouging Fire and Chien-Pao with Ursh is also really, really nice. Is there anything else that's noteworthy that I want to pinpoint here? No, I think after that, it's just like, you know, there's some landers over here, but those are some of the key Zacian teams, right? It's either like Gouging Fire stuff or basically going with the Pelipper. But again, the Marlox idea with Latios is also pretty cool. All right, so let's go back into the team builder. We've got our data, so let's build a couple Zacian teams here. All right, so let's build the more standard way first. So after Zacian, then we'll go into Incineroar and Amoongus. your solid defensive backbone that a lot of regulationG teams already have, right? You get the Intimidate, the Fake Out, the Redirection, all good things a VGC team wants. And then after that, then we'll go with the Pelipper Urshifu idea. Okay, so again, a fast mode, hard-hitting mode. And then from here, we'll add the Raging Bolt, right? So again, Dragon Fairy Steel, right, with Raging Bolt and Zacian. Then you get a Fire Word of Grass Core idea with Incineroar Amoongus and either Urshifu or Pelipper. So you still got your flexible VGC cores on one team, right? And then after that, it's just pretty standard. Look, we'll go Intimidate Incin, we'll give it the safety goggles, then we'll go Fake Out, Parting Shot, Knock Off, okay, and then you can do like Will-O-Wisp, or then you can do Flare Blitz. Either way, I think it works. You can do Will-O-Wisp. I think it's okay. And then after that, you can do, with the Amoongus stuff, Regenerator, of course. I like Rocky Helmet at the moment, and then I like Terra Dark. So this way, if I get taunted, it's not going to work. Rage Powder, Pollen Puff, you know, again, Prankster Taunt is what I'm referring to. Spore, and then Protect, right? And then the Incineroar, we can make it Terra Water, Terra Ghost. Either way works, honestly. Let's just go Terra Ghost here. I think it's fine. All right, the Pelipper, another one where we want Terra Ghost. I think it's quite useful, right? I've pulled it off a couple of times, but here's the Focus Sash. And then, you know, you're going to get Weather Ball, which does a ton of damage in the rain. Hurricane itself is accurate in the rain. Wide Guard is your best support move right now. And then, of course, Random Protect here. Okay, and then the Urshifu with the Choice Scarf here, you know, just allows us to outspeed the Calyrex Shadow Rider matchup, which is always important, right? Aqua Jet, and then what's the other one I'm forgetting? U-Turn, my pivot move. Then the Raging Bolt here with the Assault Vest just makes a lot of sense here. You're going to get Electroweb stuff along with Thunderclap, okay, your priority move. Then you'll round it out with Snarl, and then a Dragon move of choice. You could do Draco Meteor, you can do Dragon Pulse. Either one works. But I still like, okay, Terra Electric's still pretty good. You know, you can get a little bit more damage out of it. You can even go Terra Fairy here. We'll just keep it Terra Electric for now, just to get a little bit more out of our Raging Bolt here. But Zacian, I like Terra Grass here. You know, again, I have the Rain, so that's going to help me, you know, reduce fire damage, and then at the same time it'll help me resist an incoming ground type attack if I ever need to dodge it, right? But this is the sinks that I've decided with for our first build. Okay, then how do I want to do the EV spreads? So with Zacian, right, couple things you could do. You could do the Jolly way, or you could do the Adamant way. If you go Jolly, I don't think you need max speed. I do think you need at least 209 though, and again, 209 is enough to outspeed the 135s, right? The max speed, Timid / Jolly 239. Stuff like Flutter Mane, stuff like Chien-Pao, Miraidon as well. Okay, so if you hit 209, you'll be able to outspeed them. Then you have 336 EVs left to play with. You could just dump this all into attack like this, and then let's go for the Rillaboom number, you know, 176. And then after that, just 1 point in the bulk. You have 8 EVs left. Throw it in defense, might as well. This is the Jolly way, right? So if you want to play like this, you can definitely play like this. Your Zacian doesn't have a ton of bulk, but, you know, at least you get to outspeed the main things you want to outspeed. Is that the way we're going to play it here? No. Okay, you can definitely do Adamant. You can get away with Adamant, and I think a lot of Zacians would prefer Adamant. You know, the bulk is quite good. So where do we go? I think just about this much is all we're going to need, right? I think 164 is good. So 189 speed tier, that still lets you outspeed the base 135s if they are Adamant or Modest, right? So that's good enough for me. Then from there, 76 attack is good enough, right, to hit the first benchmark. Zacian does a ton of damage, especially after Swords Dance or if you already have an Intrepid boost. I'd rather have the bulk. So we'll go here, 192, you know, just in case a Rillaboom comes out. You can even go max HP like this and then just round it out like this. And just add maybe 1 point here in the speed, and then there it is. Very easy, so this way you can get a little bit of speed creep. Or you can drop it a little bit, go to 192 instead, and then start splitting up your bulk a little bit in terms of like this, right? 128, and then right here. And then here, like you got, let's go for a nice little even number there. Like 200 is pretty good, so we'll go into 92, right? And then we still outspeed what we want to outspeed, right? And then we have a little bit of bulk in our defenses. So I like this way, but that's me. If you prefer Jolly or if you prefer the other Adamant build, feel free to do that. Incin, I keep it relatively standard here. I just go careful second EV bump here, right, which is at 156, right? Yeah, there it is. So again, I always say this in every team building video. If you don't know what EV bumps are and you're trying to play competitive Pokemon and you're trying to get better at EV spreads, you need to know what EV bumps are. So feel free to comment in the video below asking what are EV bumps, because that's how you start building teams. You go for these bumps and then you can start a game, okay? Because after that, then you can make your little tweaks. But as far as like starting and getting some EVs, you know, just to start testing, you got to know your bumps. So comment what are EV bumps and I will reply to you and I will explain it to you, right? But from here, you know, 236 invest just about, you don't need max HP. You can take a little bit off because you still want a little bit of speed on this, just a tiny bit. I would say 36 is good just for the mirror matchup. Dump the rest in defense and that's really all you need. Amoongus here. I like this set here. So watch this. We're going to go Relax Nature. Okay, 0 speed, of course. But what I really like with this Amoongus set in this generation, right? This regulation is what I meant. 236, 236. So this is the third benchmark here. Okay, right? And this is going to let you do two things. This is going to let you survive the Chien-Pao stuff. And then this is going to survive Calyrex, Ice Rider, Glacial Lance without needing to Terra, right? And then from there, just dump the rest and Spit Death. So I like this Amoongus. Then the Pelipper, of course, it's a sash. You can just do 252, 252 and call it a day. All right, we'll go Modest Nature, of course, just to get a little bit more damage out of it. Then the Urshifu. So I feel like if you're always going to go Scarf and then Adamant, you need max speed. 149 with the Choice Scarf outspeeds Calyrex Shadow Rider, which is, of course, very important. Then we can go here, 236 investment. Let's get some damage out of it. And then just put the rest into your remaining bulk stats. Raging Bolt here. So if I'm going to go for Electro Web stuff, I'm still going to go Modest Nature. But I'm going to go about 112 or even 113 over here, right? So after E-Webs, or at least after 2, you can outspeed the Shadow Rider at the very least. So I want to put a little bit of speed on this Raging Bolt. So then from there, 124 investment. Again, 187 is the bump. But I can get a little bit more out of it, you know, by going to 190 over here because of photosynthesis. So I kind of want to go for that. And then after that, you just go 188. Give me that optimal Rillaboom Grassy Terrain recovery. Let's put 1 point in the Spit F. I already have an Assault Vest. Dump the rest here into defense. And then call it a day with our Raging Bolts here, right? So that's it. You know, we got some quick EV spreads here. But this is a pretty standard way to use Zacian, right? A slower, bulkier Adamant build, but you've got Intimidate, Fake Out, Redirection support. You have more damage mitigation with Snarl. You have some speed control with Electro Web. And then the Urshifu Choice Scarf, again, it will give you that, the outspeed mark for the Shadow Rider. And then Pelipper just does Pelipper things with Wide Guard and clicking Weather Balls into Incineroars, right? Like, Pelipper Zacian is pretty good in that sense, right? Because you want to bring Incin into Zacian, right? But then Pelipper just clicks Weather Ball and deletes the Incineroar. So do with that with what you will. All right, so let's go ahead and let's test it out. Then we'll build the second team with Gouging Fire Zacian. All right, so we're playing against a Miraidon team here, but he's got some interesting options here. So he's definitely got his ground type, so he can definitely click Discharge. But everything else, I'm not so sure. I don't see Blood Moon, I don't see Ferrograph, and his Tailwind setter is Suicune instead of something like Tornadus or Whimsicott. So I'm not so sure about this team, but I feel pretty confident in what we're going to bring into this. So I'm going to go Pelipper here, and I'm going to go Urshifu here, just in case he decides to go with his Incineroar idea. And he does, right? And here's the Miraidon, of course, does well into everything here. So, you know, I just want to remove the Incineroar off the bat, right? So I'm going to go into Amoongus. I'm going to Terra the Pelipper. So there's the Ghost Terra really helping me out. He goes for a Volt Switch. That's okay, because I really just need to remove the Incineroar. So this way he can't really cycle me onto my Zacian, right? So there we go. We delete the Incin. That's done and taken over with. Now he brings back the Miraidon. So still okay. I can't click Spore, but that's fine. I'm just going to try and redirect the Miraidon stuff. And there's the Electro Drift. So he's outspeeding his Ogerpon. The Ogerpon goes for Ivy Cudgel. Amoongus did its job. Okay, now we get some chip damage into it. So there goes the Ogre. It's almost dead. Okay, that's fine. Now we can bring in Zacian, right? Incineroar is not here. Okay, he goes for the Spiky Shield. That's fine. Okay, he outspeeds me. So either he wins the speed tower or he's timid, right? So he's definitely timid. So that means he has no bulk, right? But that's okay. So from here, now we just kind of sweep him because there goes his restricted. Landorus comes in, but again, we just outspeed everything. So even if he wants to go for the Zacian right now, which he does, like Pelipper is just kind of still here chilling. So here's Weather Ball. That's still really good damage. He can't beat the Pelipper here. Now we can go into our Urshifu here, and then we can just clean things up. He clicks Protect in front of an Urshifu, right, with a close combat, and that's pretty much all she wrote. So, again, like, Miraidon's good, but if it's not in the right position, Zacian can kind of just beat it. Before we build the second team, there's also a couple other Zacian teams that I want to point out. This one's from Tio. Look at this team. This is with Dragonite Chien-Pao along with Pelipper Urshifu. And he's been kind enough to not only provide the rental code, but he's also been kind enough to provide the Pokepaste, which is what we're going to do here. So let's click this. Let's see what he's got here. So it's also an Adamant Zacian, right? 164 speed, 220 HP, 76 attack. So he's hitting the first bump here. Then he dumped his leftover EVs into Spit Up. That's pretty good. Then the Chien-Pao, of course, is pretty standard. This is a bulkier Pelipper, right? So he's going Calm, 252 HP, 156 Spit Up. This is the benchmark for the Calm Nature Pelipper. And then, of course, he only has 1 point in special attack. It's not really the point of Pelipper on this team to deal damage. Just be supportive and then come in and click the occasional Weather Ball and Hurricane. Then you have the Urshifu Ditto stuff. This is Bright Powder Ditto. Oh, my goodness. Alright, but this is another pretty cool Zacian team. Like, you could definitely do Dragonite stuff with Chien-Pao Zacian, right? And I expect this. Again, Dragon Fairy Steel Core idea. And then Urshifu Chien-Pao is always going to do stuff here. So, I like this a lot. So, shout outs to Tio for, again, using a pretty cool Zacian Terurun challenge team. Another Zacian team is from, I'm going to call him Mega Kiko, right? Because he's got Ha 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 before it. So this is his other Zacian team. So if I click this, again, it's just Whimsicott, Tailwind support with Chi-Yu and Raging Bolt here with Urshifu Rillaboom. So this is another pretty cool team. He's got the Pokepaste over here. So basically, it's Adamant 84 Zacian. All right, so that hits 179 speed. That's going to outspeed Ogerpons at max speed, right? So he's aiming for that speed tier. Then look at his build, 236 HP, 156 attack. That's the second bump there. And then he just dumps the rest here into defense and special defense. And then from there, it's a Sash Whimsicott. Then you've got Rillaboom here, Urshifu, Chi-Yu. Pretty standard Rillaboom, Urshifu, and Chi-Yu set over here. This is Taunt Urshifu, which is pretty good. You're going to need it. But again, Zacian with a Dragon type, Dragon Fairy Steel. Then you've got a Fire Water Grass core. So again, you're following your conventional cores. You got your speed control option here with Tailwind. So it makes a lot of sense. But again, lots of different ways you can really use Zacian. It just, what do you want your partners to do? Okay, do you want Pelipper? Do you want a Chien-Pao? Do you want Chien-Pao Ursh? Do you want Urshifu Pelipper? Do you want Tailwind on your team or don't you want Tailwind on your team? It all depends on how you want to play Zacian. Alright, so this is going to be Zacian, Gouging Fire, and even Chien-Pao here. This is going to be the core of this second build, but the main difference here is I'm not going to do Substitute Zacian. I'm not going to do Swords Dance Zacian. I'm going to do Substitute instead and rely on the attack boost coming from Howl on the Gouging Fire here, right? So I'm still going to use the same EV spreads. I still like it. It's bulky. It does what it needs to do, and I'm cool with it, right? Now I'm just going to add Rillaboom, and now I'm going to add Urshifu, right? Fake out Surging Strikes is still broken, and then you add Chien-Pao to these guys, and now all of a sudden you're doing a ton of damage. I understand Incineroar can come in here and click Intimidate, but that's okay. We can just reposition around it, and then Urshifu doesn't even care about Intimidate anyway. I still like Pelipper on a team like this. Okay, again, I'm getting Wide Guard support, but now here's the difference. I'm going to add Tailwind to this Pelipper, and now, along with Weather Ball and Hurricane, now I can get some speed control with all of these guys, okay? So now, not only will I be even more supportive with Wide Guard and Tailwind, but now I can still deal some damage with the Weather Ball and the Hurricane idea, right? So how do I want to build the rest of the team? I'm just going to go Gouging Fire with the Booster Energy. I want to outspeed a lot of different options. So I'm going to go Jolly Nature for sure. Breaking Swipe, Howl, Heat Crash, and then, of course, the Burning Bulwark. Then I'm just going to go Terra Grass here. Again, Pelipper is going to help me out here by taking away the fire weakness, by going Terra Grass. Then the Chien-Pao here is just going to be another pretty standard Chien-Pao set here. I'm just going to copy paste here. So let's just add that. Pretty standard Adamant Chien-Pao set. Same thing with the Urshifu. I'm just going to save myself a little bit of time. Still go with the Scarf idea. Okay, but here's the thing. Because I have the Sash on the Chien-Pao, I can't go Sash on this Pelipper anymore. So I'm going to have to go with a bulkier set. It's kind of like how Tio did his. So we're going to go Calm. Okay, we're definitely going to go Calm Nature. And almost max HP. We're going to go 212 here. In fact, even before that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go for my speed here first. I want to go to 112 here. Let's outspeed the Shadow Rider after Tailwind. And then 1 point in special attack. That's all really I need. Let's go to the second benchmark here in SpDef. And then after that, you know, we'll just dump the rest here into HP like this, right? So it's still a pretty bulky Pelipper, but it's also a fast Pelipper, especially under Tailwind. I think Terra Ghost is going to be needed here because I don't have Protect anymore, and if I get faked out, I'm in trouble. But I do like Rocky Helmet on this kind of Pelipper, without a doubt. Rillaboom here, we can definitely go Assault Vest, of course, with the grassy terrain. We can go Fake Out. We can go Wood Hammer, Grassy Glide. Okay, and then our pivot move of U-turn. That is Grass Knot. That's not what we need. Grassy Glide. There we go, of course. I like Water here. You can definitely do Terra Fire, of course, but I don't want to do Terra Fire in the rain, right? That looks a little interesting. So we'll just go Water on this Rillaboom here. That's still going to resist the ice damage altogether, so that's still fine. Let's go Adamant Rilla here. Okay, let's go 132. Right, to, again, give me that 192 benchmark number. Let's go 196 attack. Okay, and then, just like the Pelipper, we'll also go for that same speed here. Let's go about 60 speed. So this way, I can outspeed by 1 point and understand the speed interactions as far as who's going first. Then from here, let's go about 76 SpDef. That'll get us to 100 SpDef. And then at the same time, that gives me a nice even number for the Assault Vest. Because if you have an odd number like this, 1.5 gives you a decimal, which rounds down. So we don't want that. So let's go here to 100. Then we just dump the rest here into defense. And that's all I really need out of this Rillaboom here. The Gouging Fire is all that's left. So I think just Jolly Max Speed is pretty good. You can just go like this, right? You know, and that'll take care of what you need. But at the same time, I want to outspeed Kyogres that are going Timid as well. So 157 is going to be needed, in my opinion. So this way we can at least hit it, deal some damage, and make it take reduced Water Spout attacks here. Let's go to 208 here. That's another Rillaboom Grassy Terrain benchmark number. And from here, 1 point in the bulk. So this is not going to be a hard-hitting Gouging Fire, but it's still going to hit enough where, like, I'm still clicking Breaking Swipes. I'm still clicking Heat Crashes. So it's still going to do some damage, especially after some Howl boost. So that's really all I need out of Gouging Fire. But that's pretty much it, right? So I think we did all the EV spreads. So this is our second build here. Again, Gouging Fire, clicking Howl, making everything here do more damage is kind of cool here. And then at the same time, you still get Pelipper doing Pelipper things. If you want, you can even add something like Amoongus over the Rillaboom here. So you get Chien-Pao, Amoongus, and Urshifu Rapid Strike. And in some cases, that might still be pretty good. But I still like Rillaboom here, just giving me Fake Out, Substitute, Fake Out, you know, Surging Strikes. I still like that idea. So, and even Fake Out Tailwind, right? So, not that you can't do that with Redirection, which you can, but I still want to have like some terrain control because, you know, Miraidon's a thing. I want to change that terrain and then weaken its damage a little bit. So I think Rillaboom is also a very nice addition to a team like this. All right, so let's go ahead and test it out. All right, so this is another strange Miraidon team. He's got the other Landers this time, and then he's got the Volt Absorb Thunderous, right? So you know he definitely wants to be doing his discharge shenanigans, right? So that's okay. So all we have to do is just position our Rillaboom properly. So here we go. Rillaboom comes here. Here's the Urshifu, and then he's going to send out the Landorus and Incineroar. I like he called it not washed yet. So he can definitely position Miraidon here to take the Surging Strikes. So I want to just, again, remove the Incin. That's my objective. If he goes into Miraidon now, that's okay. And that's exactly what he's doing here with the Landers clicking U-turn. So I know he's Scarf, right? And then there's the Surging Strikes. So he has the Berry, but again, that's not going to matter. And right away, turn 1, I get a key KO onto the Incineroar. Similar to how I did that in the other game. So here comes Landers yet again. But this is still fine. So I know he's Scarf, but that's still okay. He actually tears the Miraidon right now. So the Dragon typing is gone. And that's important. So now instead of getting damage into the Landers, I'm going into the Whimsicott here. But he clicks an interesting move here. This is where he clicks the Discharge here. We survive it first of all, so good EVs on our Rillaboom, but he actually knocks out his own Whimsicott. And then I go for the U-turn with that live, go into Zacian, and now I can reset the terrain and have it for the rest of the game because he only has 2 Pokemon left. I go into Chien-Pao here. I want to get some chip damage down. Okay, so I'm going to go Zacian here. He goes Rock Slide, which is a bit unfortunate for me, right? I go for Play Rough just to get some damage into the Miraidon next turn. So this way I can KO it. I live the Discharge, and I know that's exactly what he wants to click. So now we go into Rillaboom. Now we have the fake out pressure. So all we have to do is just fake out the landers and then just click the 100% guarantee move into Miraidon and remove it from the game. Now I can Grassy Glide, Behemoth Blade, and the game is over, but I actually don't do that. I make a mistake here. I was going for Woodhammer, and that was a bad move, right? Because Grassy Glide could have got me there. I'm sorry, Rock Slide, but I can still do something here, okay? I just have to protect it a little bit more recovery. But again, by not going for Grassy Glide, the game would have been over already. So that is a misplay on my part. See, look at that. That still did good damage. That could have KO'd me if he crit me, but he didn't crit me or flinch me. So that pays off for me. But I think the main mistake there was he discharged and he killed his own Whimsicott. And if he didn't, that would have allowed him to outspeed us, and then he probably could have won the game. But because he clicked that, he gave me a chance there. All right, this is one of those weird Groudon teams with Slithering and Suicune here. I understand Instant, Raging Bolt, and Rillaboom, but then you've got Suicune here, and then you have the Slytherin. I understand that there's going to be some Tailwind shenanigans on the Suicune, and maybe it doesn't even have a water move. But Scald is so good, okay? But I'm not really concerned about the Slytherin. I feel like you can just add something like Heart Flame Ogerpon, and you've got a better squad altogether. But he's got this stuff, so that's a little okay. I feel like Chien-Pao is also going to do really well here because he has a lot of weaknesses to it. So here's Incineroar, here's Suicune. I'm going to go Gouging Fire here and Chien-Pao. So I want to go for the Howl stuff because he does intimidate me right away, and he chooses correctly who to intimidate, right? And my play is pretty obvious, but I had to test the waters and see what he would do because there's still no drawback here. He clicks Tailwind, so like I don't really take that much damage at all. For some reason, I went for Protect. I don't know why I did that. Maybe I forgot. But he knocks off my Focus Sash. So it's still fine. He clicks Roar and brings out my Pelipper. So this is Suicune with Roar. That's pretty cool. All right, he goes into Groudon. I kind of call this because I clicked Weather Ball and Ice Spinner into that slot just in case if he did switch into Groudon, which is exactly what he did. So there's the damage from the Ice Spinner. And now here's the Weather Ball, and we pick up the Groudon, which is huge. So his Restricted is gone from the third turn, which is great, right? Because Zacian kind of struggles a little bit against Groudon. But here's the Slitherwing. He goes into Incin now. My Chien-Pao's intimidated again, but I can go into Gouging Fire now and kind of, offset that. So we survived the first impression because we clicked Protect. So that's good to know. And now his Tailwind is gone. He goes with the Terra Ghost option. He clicks Fake Out there. And I'm going to go for Breaking Swipe to reduce his damage. So now the Slitherwing Photosynthesis is kind of mitigated in this sense. And he goes for Stomping Tantrum, which doesn't even KO. It's not even a stab move, right? So now he wants to re-pivot, go into the Suicune. Okay, I could have easily also clicked Howl here. I clicked another Breaking Swipe. And the Incineroar can now also click Knock Off here. He doesn't have Flare Blitz, right? So, what else is he going to click? So I howled the Chien-Pao, and now it's in within range of Sacred Sword, so that's more than enough than what I need to do. The Suicune goes for Scald in the Sun, which again doesn't even burn, so it's a low risk move, so I respect it a lot. I don't Protect this time, right, because I thought he would do it into the Gouging Fire, so that was unfortunate for me, right? But now I got Pelipper here, and Pelipper is doing a lot of damage here in terms of not damage itself, but like giving me good control with the game because now I can go for my own Tailwind and now I can match him and now I can just remove this Slitherwing with Zacian, right? So it's Zacian against these two guys. So there's the Behemoth Blade. Goodbye Slitherwing. He doesn't even go for the Skull Burn here. He just goes for Snarl, which is a mistake. And now Zacian can kind of just clean up from here, especially with a little bit of help from Pelipper. We get a crit, which we don't really need, but Zacian is always going to win this matchup. Pelipper can help us. But I felt like he needed to go for the Skull Burn there. The fact that he didn't go for it is beside me. All right, so again, here are the teams yet again. So this is the more standard way with Incineroar Amoongus, Pelipper, Urshifu, Raging Bolt. Again, very splashable 5 for a couple of different restricteds like Calyrex Ice Rider, for example. And then this is another version with Gouging Fire and Chien-Pao, which I like in my opinion. Okay, the Rillaboom and Urshifu also do very well with Chien-Pao in this sense. And then, of course, this is a bulkier Pelipper with Rocky Helmet. Giving you Tailwind this time, so for a little bit more speed control in this sense, okay? So give these a go. Let us know how you do. Again, Zacian is a little bit harder to use this time around, but it's not like it's unviable. You could definitely win a lot of games with Zacian, okay? It's just not as easier as some of the other restricteds, like we mentioned, okay? So that's going to do it for now, folks. And again, if you're trying to go to Los Angeles, you need a little bit of help with team building. feel free to ask us. Tier 3 sub on the channel gets you a one-on-one coaching session with me. We get to build a team like this from scratch with all the EVs, of course. We talk through different matchups, of course, with your squad. So this way you know what to do when you play these games. And then from there, we give you the team that you want, the way you want to play it. So hopefully you can get your results, with the team that you like. All right, so sign up for coaching. Again, video description has the link to join the channel with that tier 3 sub. And then in the video description, in the comment section, you can click the same link because it's pinned. And again, you can message me on Discord. You can join the Discord and then reach out to me, and then we'll get our session going. All right, so that'll be it for now, folks. We'll be back with another video in the next one. Peace out and have a good one.